Alright, these are the saws, the newer type saws. These two are the same, they're just different materials. This is the older antique saw with a blade guard on. And of course, it's that one big piece of oak on there. But these are, if you look at them straight up and down, these are twice. You can put two saws in the place of one for this. So definitely a smaller footprint. I will say that the windlass that's on this, the clacker board or whatever you want to call it, I'm not sure that I like the ropes, the strings going all the way through it all the time. I think it's better off just to loop it and let them twist and put this in the middle of them and then twist it. But I do want one string to be held on there. So I did kind of put this on like a lark's head on this one end and left the other end. Probably put a loop on the other end where it hangs around the notch that's on the side of this piece here. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm thinking, and there's a notch. I'll just kind of thinking that's what I'll do with that, and verdict's still out, but it's time to get back to work and get these things done. All right, there's my parts for about 18 bows. I think I got 18 cross pieces here. I do need to cut that one down, looks like. But then there's my sides. And then I've got to cut the windlass over there for this project. And there's my dust on the ground from all of the planing. And there. Let me get that all cleaned up and get here busy. Okay, I got 20 of these to make up. And of course, this is my scrap boards. And it's a little bit thinner than an inch and a half. Boards are, so I'll just hit the middle, and I'll also give it a reaming with a bit, countersink bit. But right now we're just going through and drilling holes, and I've got that set up for that. And give it a bump with a test scraper to keep it taken out of. Just drill the holes. Alright, I'm going to countersink all them holes and just make them a little bit rounded so when the core goes through them, it won't be abrasive on it. I got about 6 more left to do. I just ram them on both sides, depth top, flip it over and do the other side. Then I'll move over to the handle, side handle, with a hole in it. Okay, those have all been reamed. We're going to move over to here, change the depth, because this is 1/2 inch piece and these are 3/4. So I'm going to change the depth on it and set that up. Once the rain gutter spout, take a piece of that, and then I set up a kind of unique fence style. This pivots. This works pretty good. It's got a crank here. We're going to take it off, adjust this around. Anyway, that pretty well kept me from having to blow on that too much and get that out of it. There we go. And of course, she's going all the way across my bench over there into the dust deputy. And that's how she rolls. And you know, whenever you're doing a bunch of jig work, you know, there's 30 parts there, and I'm getting ready to drill some more. But you know, when you got a bunch of parts lined up, it's nice to be able to hook the machine up. For just one, I generally won't mess with it. But all right, now I've got to put a slot in the ends of these. This is the jig that I've got that will cut that, and of course it'll allow me to stop and rip this safely. So hopefully this will come up to about right there and stop, and that way it'll rip all the way through the board here, and I'll have a nice slot. So should be good to go. And that's just a clamp up there. And then let's go ahead and rip one just to see how she lands. Okay, there's my cut, nice and straight. It's even on both sides. That's the same thickness as the material that I'm cutting. So I'll go ahead and cut all of my pieces. Cut all of my sides with the holes, and also the sides with the notches. So that's 40 boards, so let's get that done. Alright, all 20 of them have been cut. I got a nice slot in the ends of them, so we get them moved over, and I'll go with the other sides. When that's run through with jigs A1 and A2, it holds the board against the fence, keeps it vertical, keeps it from moving, and it cuts that slot into it. And then of course it stops there, and I can just pull it straight out of there so I don't get any splintering to speak of. And yeah, they came out really nice looking. So let me get those parts moved over, and we'll cut the side slot now. With this setting, I keep the same setting on here. All I need to do is put in a feather board. So let's get that done. All right, now I've got my feather board up here. I've got my board jigged in here, so it'll still go in there, but it's going to be held back in there pretty good. And then this is a piece of scrap. That's 1 inch. I want to get my CNC made push sticks and push them through there, and we'll see how she runs here. Always a good idea to check your measurements, make sure that you're right on the money. And we are slot. Our slot, according to tape, is exactly 1 inch deep, so that's good. And go ahead and get these processed. All right, now I rip side hole with this on the downside of the face, and rip all them with a slot. All right, after laying pad on every one of them square boards, they're all been pre-cut out on the bandsaw. I did take the bandsaw guide apart. I was getting a little rattling noise in there, and it was actually right up in here, but I looked all the way around it, went all around it, took the bearing out right here and greased it, and got it to, cleaned up, turned. And I've had a lot of them froze up, so I'll just buy some and keep them. That one's lasted a long time. These are some really good bearings. Anyway, the bearing's still salvageable, it's fine. And got the noise taken care of, so there you go. And getting all the parts together, I did have a boo-boo, and I cut this on the wrong side. So I cut a piece of spline to fit in the saw blade's kerf, and of course the sander that really makes it easy to sand it down to where it just slips into the slot. So that's a really good tool to have, and when you need it, it's needed. Anyway, I've got this still set up so that when I glue that, problem was doing the slot on the other side is my slot's fairly deep. So there you go. That's what you get out of that. But anyway, there we go. And I'm just thinking maybe I might have cut that just a 1/4 inch too much deeper than what I needed. We'll find out. The original saws, I think they only have a 3/4 inch tongue, but in there, but I'm not sure. It might be 1 inch. And so there we go. And it's about time to go in. So we'll let that dry overnight, cut that, and finish up on that. And then it'll just be a matter of doing the doweling, and away we'll go. See ya. Alright, we cut 80 dowels. So it's making 20 bow saws, full work on 20s, 80. And this is a jig. It just fits in the neck of my saw. I mark it bandsaw neck. That's one of these dowels. I also mark around where the clamp fits. And there's the blade, and it cuts a 1 inch dowel. So that's one of my jigs for that. I'll probably call that jiggy. Alright, next thing you do is you get your 3 pieces and you lay them out in this, and this is basically just a way of laying it out. The whole side is the whole side. This side over here says the notch side, so there's the notch sides. You put your 2 holes to the outside, so that makes your face frames line up, and you put them in there like that. The next thing you do is, of course, you decide which side you want this to hang out. It doesn't really matter which side you do. Pull that thing out, put this piece over here like this, and then you take your pencil, and of course I'm trying to do this one-handed, but you take your pencil and you just strike a line, fall in that little pattern deal, and then that little pattern, and then you go to the other end of it and make a line. And I've put a lot of try to get this to where it stays the same. So that okay, now that's your masterpiece. It's got your holes lined up on it, so if there's a little bit difference in thickness, or there's something a little bit different, they'll still work. All right, I upped my game a little bit on this guy here. I've added these toggles in here so that it would keep those up. Added the toggles down here at the end to push that up to the top, and then this toggle here. So when I'm transferring my stuff, this stuff is not moving around. It stays put, and for laying out. So that's kind of what that. Then I might add another little piece of wood here, so when I'm laying these out, it stays across here and keeps it from flipping over. But anyway, that was something that I've added. But anyway, yeah, this and that. I'm getting ready to go over the diagram and go back and change it back. I keep changing different things when I try and tweak them, and so I'm going to go change that thing back to what it was, and a little bit on my directions. So let me get in there and do that, tweak that back, but I'm arriving at the right spot. All right, so then you just take your pencil and you extend your marks across here where these line up, and you just mark them across there when they're lined up, and you just put them across there like that. You come over here and you do the same thing on this piece. You know, it's fixing the jig so it stays the same, and so you scratch them across there. So now you have all your marks. And another thing you need to do is to take and mark your marks on the end of this thing here, so that, you know, this lines up, and you put your little marks there so that you can see that on the jig, and do the same thing on the other side on the end pieces, and that just makes it easier. It's also easier as well to extend those lines right there, and right there, and right there. So let me go ahead and get that done, and then I'll show you the drilling part. All right, and you line that little line right there up with that pencil mark, and you drill it here with a 1/4-inch drill bit, and it's down. It's got a stop collar on the drill so that it only goes down there so far, and you drill that down. And the way it clamps onto the piece, you know, it basically runs it parallel, so that's cool. Now I'll just unscrew this back knob right here, lift it off, and move it over to the other line. Let me get that done. All right, the other line's over here, and now I move this over to this line here, cranked it down, and getting ready to drill that one. Then I'll rotate the board and do the same thing on the other end of it. All right, turn it upside down, dump the sawdust out of it. And now we can go do these other side two pieces right here. And there's our mark there. This one you don't even need to use the vise. You can just basically put the jig on there, line it up with that line there. And again, I'll transfer those pencil marks across over there. And let me go ahead and do that so you can see what I'm talking about. And I did both of them. Just kind of making your pencil mark, and all you're doing is drawing a line. The corners where it all lines up at. And then I did the other one as well, and around there. And of course, the clamp lines up to the face frame, so the face frame is always the same, and you know that's where your clamp lines up to, and then it drills on the edge, of course. So that works out good. It's very accurate. I've done literally hundreds, if not thousands, of these things with this type of a doweling jig. And let me go ahead and get these drilled. So you drill it up till the depth stops, and then you've got your holes drilled out. And then I'll ream them out with the bit that's just a little bit bigger on the side rails, so that they'll slip in and out just a little bit easier. The ones on this horizontal, or this called the cross member, these won't. I'm getting ready to put some dowels and glue them in there, so let me get that done. All right, I'm just gonna ream these out just a little bit. That's just an oversized, a little bit over a quarter, so that it makes that joint, this joint will not be glued. These dowels on this side will be glued. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll insert a couple dowels in there. All right, put them 1-inch dowels in there, and they stick out about a 1/2 inch on each side. And basically, I just run the old brush around it, clean the glue up on it. I'm going to turn it upside down and pound the other ones in. I'll just have it sitting up on the vise slightly to hold it while I glue that. And then I'll put the H-frame together. Little glue, insert the dowel, and pound it in with a hammer. And then once you get that done, you always have a little bit of glue left over on it. So you can take this little cheapo brush and clean up the remnant, and just kind of clean it up so that it's not got any globs on it or anything. And take a file to that a little bit maybe, and then we'll insert that into that. And there's enough slack so they won't glue up tight. All right, this joint is made to be a pull-out joint, so I mean it still holds in there pretty tight, and but it'll wear out and loosen up a little bit if you have a little trouble getting them to go in there. take that flat rasp and just smooth the edge of the dowels up a little bit. Anyway, that's 2 down there, and odds are pretty good that they will probably interchange, and they're basically done the same. So you know, they probably will interchange on the ends, but just for the just keeping it nice and easy, I'm doing that. Of course, they haven't been sanded or routed yet, and that'll be the next step along the way. Let's go ahead and get her down there and get her all routed out, and she'll be ready to go. So let's go ahead and finish that other stack of 18 and get onto it. Alrighty. After putting 6 of them together, I was saying, you know what, I'm tired of putting 6 together. So I moved over to the clackers or the windlass, and then I sanded them. They were square, and I, of course, I had cut them on the bandsaw. And they were ready to go. I used to, I guess that wasn't the 30 grit. That's the 80 grit. Anyway, used it, and no wonder it took so long to sand it. Anyway, I'm getting ready to run these around the router and to get it going. So after the windlass was done, I thought I'd take a little break from that and come over here and do some of these. And I'm going to route this edge around here and this inside edge right here. So we'll get that routed, and then I'll probably take the cross piece out and route the other ends and the sides. Maybe not, just probably leave it together. Anyway, I'm going to turn on the vacuum for that. And turn on that right there, and go to routing. Alright, I went around over this edge, and in a couple of minutes I'm just keeping it together, going all the way around the outsides and the edges and the corners. I've done just the third one. It's actually working out pretty good, and putting a nice round edge on them. So I'm pleased with how that's coming out. So we'll get those 6 done. Alright, there's a set of 6 with the windlass, all the wood parts. All I need to do is lightly be sanded and stained and finished, and then put the hardware to them. So there they are. That's 6, and I've got 12 more to do. And I think I'll take a break from it, because you know what, I'm retired, and I think I'm gonna sit back and take it easy for just a little bit. Hasta la vista, baby. Alright, well, that's my doweling station, and it worked out good. Had to put a little extra light on it. My eyes are not as good as they used to be. So I'll turn this thing off and go inside. Alright, spare time projects. I was doing some, Halloween was yesterday, and my son was down here working on sharpening chainsaws, so while he was doing that, I went ahead and assembled 6 more and routed 6 more of these. I have them in packs of 6, and I have 6 more left in these kits, and probably get those done a little bit later on today, and get with that. So that's where we're at with that project, and I'll basically probably keep them to that point, and maybe get them all stained and a finish coat on them, sanded of course, and then a finish coat on them. So they should be good to go. Get them assembled, put them in a kit form, make some canvas bags for them to fit into, and that's where we'll be at. And that's what the whole setup looks like right there. That's what these will look like. These next pieces are a 1/2 inch longer on both sides. All this kits are 1/2 inch longer, so there'll only be about a 1/4 of an inch between that one blade sticking out there. And I think on my next set, when I go to drilling these holes here, I will probably move that hole in just a little bit. The saw blade can actually get in there and cut the cord a little bit right there if it's being moved around a bunch. So that's something I might have to look at, and move that hole just a little bit. But anyway, there they are, and they're ready to go. I also ended up changing my vise out and put this swivel on here with the smooth faces. That way I can put my verticals in here and glue them. And I can put these cross pieces in when I'm using a dowel jig so that it holds them. It's just, easier to do it that way. I got a little more consistent in my drilling. And I am going to take this piece here and put another piece across here on this side that will hold this up. So whenever I've got this piece lined in there, it will hit flat across here. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm doing. All right, we're getting these together. These are, as I stack them up, 3 sets of 6, and they're going together pretty good. And there's the old antique job. We're moving on to getting her done. Okay, a little update. There's 12 stained, sanded and stained and drying over here with their windlass. And they're getting ready to have some finish put on them. And then over here, I've got the ones that I've sanded. And when I get them off of the router, and I have these pencil marks on here. And the way to get rid of that is just your belt eraser cleaner that you clean your belts with. And yeah, it takes a little hand rushing, but I'm going to take that little guy and wipe on there for about 15 seconds. I'll show you what it looks like. All right, clean. About 15 seconds. I'll come over here and do this edge, lightly sanding it, and that'll be good. So let me get her done. All right, there's 4 right there. Look here, 2 more. That's 6. And there's another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, or give or take a couple. Anyway, it should be 18 in all them, that groupie. And looks like there's 6 here, probably 6 over there. Anyway, can't count them all straight. Anyway, that was a couple hours of staining, getting them down and sanded and stained in probably 3 hours. And I'm gonna put a this gloss clear enamel on them, and that's what I put on these right here. And so that'll give them some protection. And I think I'll go ahead and assemble the hardware, and then I'll probably just spray them first, and then put the hardware on the very last. So there we go, coming along really good. All right, there's 20. And I'm gonna make a canvas bag for them. They'll fit in a little canvas bag. I'm not gonna put this on the rest of them. Basically, I'll probably put 2 strings that just tie a string around them, and then they'll slip into a bag, and that way that will work as a in the bag there. So anyway, they're all put together, assembled. They've got enamel on them, and yeah, they came out really nice. Consistently, pretty good shape. Like I said, there's 20 there total. And there's the antique back there on that saw there. So these are just a few spare parts that I had left over. And all of these are red oak except for the one up on top. And I just put single strand cord on there right now. Probably will hold up. I'll see what kind of durability it has. It's pretty strong, but most of the bush, the craft guys will make them out of with paracord, but I'm trying to make these for a trekking group, so for a frontiersman trekking type deal. So that's why I'm trying to keep them down to that. The hardware is good. I would have liked to put brass on there, but brass is like a lot more money to do that, so it was twice as much money. And these are all gifts, so if they want brass, then they can buy the $4 worth of bolts and put brass in there. But anyway, so I used all my 20 blades, and hopefully they're going to be good. I do have a saw set that I'm going to get, and one out of about 3 of these, the saw set wasn't very good, and it was binding up. So I'm going to get that tomorrow. I think it's coming in. So I'm going to reset the teeth on one of those and probably give them a little try. Maybe they're $2 a piece, so they're inexpensive. I priced them at the Ace Hardware, and they had them for like $5.50, something like that, for a blade. They looked identical to these. The blades that I think cut better don't have these little raker teeth in them. These little V-shaped teeth. They just have the single all the way across them. And I have a 30-inch saw, and it cuts really, really good. I mean, it's easier to push. My grandson, we were out on the sawbuck, and anyway, so it's good. I guarantee you put some tension on that, you can cut down all kinds of trees with it. Because it was if you're out trekking and you're needing poles, that's the way to go. And of course a hatchet. But really pleased with how that came out and all the hardware and getting it together. And that is a completed job, except for I think I'll probably make some canvas bags for it. So we'll see about that a little later on.